Yesterday we completed our study on prayer. Now let's learn the sixth preliminary practice, generating bodhicitta. Generate bodhicitta by thinking, may I attain perfect enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. For this reason, I meditate on the stages of purifying mental activity. No matter what virtuous deed you do, it only becomes a cause for Buddhahood when done with the three excellences. This practice is no exception. The three excellences refer to the three supreme methods of virtuous action. Without applying these methods, even extensively doing virtuous deeds may not be excellent. The lineage gurus condensed the methods of performing virtuous deeds into the three excellences and transmitted them to disciples. However, because students' capacities and attitudes differ, some can apply them while others cannot. Some implement them for only 3 days, while others implement them consistently. Some gain only minor benefits, while others attain boundless benefits. Some treat them as mere knowledge, while others integrate the three excellences into every situation, making every virtuous act excellent. Thus, the attitudes with which the students seek the dharma vary significantly. So do their results. As we know, the differences are indeed immense. The three excellences are 1. Excellence in the beginning, generating bodhicitta. 2. Excellence in the middle, doing the actual practice, free from conceptualization. 3. Excellence in the end, dedicating the merit. Why are they called excellences? In terms of the cause, applying this method makes the merit far surpass ordinary ones. In terms of the result, even a minor virtuous act, when conducted with these principles, produces a much greater fruit than ordinary ones. For example, ordinary charcoal, sulfur, and nitrates, when combined in precise proportions, become a powerful explosive, but if mixed incorrectly, they lack such power. Similarly, whether a virtuous act is performed with the three excellences determines whether its result is immense or minimal. The excellence in the beginning refers to the preparation made before the actual practice. The excellence in the middle means performing virtuous deeds with focused concentration. On a deeper level, it means engaging in all virtuous actions, free from conceptualization, without clinging to any notions. As the Diamond Sutra states, perform all virtuous deeds without the notions of a self, a person, a sentient being, or a lifespan. The excellence in the end refers to dedicating the accumulated merit, making it boundless. Previously, we have elaborated on the three excellences extensively, so here we will only offer a brief explanation. What is the core of the excellence in the beginning? It is the mind. Let's take offering flowers to the Buddha as an example. The work, like buying flowers and filling the vase, is the preparation. However, the most important preparation is adjusting your motivation. Strive to make your intention virtuous, vast, and pure. If your motivation is narrow, impure, and scattered, tainted by greed or aversion, you will not only fail to generate great merit, but may even commit negative karma. The difference is immense. Some people offer 1,000 taels of gold to the three jewels, but, if tainted by desire, anger, or even intense greed, the merit is minimal because their motivation is impure. In reality, offering to the three jewels is a way of supporting others' practice. If you make offerings with this mindset, you too will receive support during your future practice. Some people lack merits, not because they failed to make offerings in past lives, but because their intention was incorrect. As a result, even though they receive offerings in this life, those offerings are often tainted by greed or aversion, and they are frequently used by others. As we can witness, when carrying out dharma activities, we are often used by others. Though we may receive financial or material support, the donors often intend to take advantage of us. This occurs because, in past lives, we made offerings to others with the same motive. Consequently, we experience such karmic retribution. We must adjust our attitude. When making offerings to the three jewels, we should have a pure intent. Some people say, "I wish to build a temple to support others' practice." But in reality, their primary goal is to create a comfortable residence for themselves, like a home. In this degenerate age, some male practitioners fully display women's 84 manners, like women who search for someone to depend on. These men wish to marry the Buddha. They build a temple, enshrine the Buddha statue, and thus have a place to rely on. Afterward, they keep those who align with their preferences and drive away those who don't, justifying it as maintaining the temple's tranquility. This is a hereditary temple, not a Sonrin, a monastery of the 10 directions. If a temple refuses to accommodate visiting monastics, it is not a Sonrin. Instead, it is a hereditary temple. The term Sonrin indicates it should be like a primeval forest, open to all practitioners. Anyone who follows the rules and harmonizes with the community is welcome. This was how Chinese Buddhism operated during the Tang Dynasty. I once stayed at Xuefeng Temple, a vast monastery. In the past, Master Yi Tsuen meditated in a tree cave there. The tree was so large that it took about 10 people to encircle it. The stump is still there today. After attaining enlightenment, Master Yi Tsuen stayed on that mountain. Other masters would tell people, "A master is meditating on that mountain. You can go study with him." Word spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Eventually, thousands of practitioners gathered there, and the mountain became full. During mealtimes, 10 canteens were full of people. Practitioners lived in huts and ate together. Solitary living was also an option. Later, the meditation hall was gradually established for communal living. Those who had the means built their own huts. For those without lodging, the monastery built meditation halls to accommodate them. One could live in a hut or in the meditation hall, cook for oneself or eat in the canteens. It was up to each person. This was the style in the Tang Dynasty. The atmosphere was quite free, yet everyone followed the rules, as they were there to study. The monastery was deep in the mountains. At that time, to deliver food offerings, the king of Min from Fudo had to ride a horse over 70 kilometers, winding through the mountains for a long time. Even today, driving up takes more than an hour. The mountain road is long and steep, over 70 kilometers to drive. Back then, practicing in the Zonin was wonderful. When making offerings to the three jewels, we should at least have a sincere intent, rejoicing in others' merits and supporting their spiritual practice without expecting anything in return. If you make offerings with the wisdom of emptiness and selflessness, it is even more excellent. If you make offerings out of doubt, competition, or concern for others' judgments, thinking since others have made offerings, I must do so too, otherwise I'll lose face, then the motivation is not virtuous. A neutral intention. They perform virtuous deeds without a clear purpose. They neither seek health or longevity in this life, nor pursue liberation from suffering or attaining happiness in future lives. They merely follow the crowd. Some people act with a neutral intent. Due to their habit of creating wholesome karma, they make offerings while thinking, I don't expect anything in return. Yet, in reality, they do seek reward. Their generosity is driven by an unconscious positive karmic force. This is how worldly friends and parents behave. Since beginningless time, parents have instinctively cared for their children without any conscious thought. Animals also instinctively protect and nurture their young. This is also a virtuous intention, but it lacks a clear purpose, and the merit it generates is limited. Most of us will reap such a result in future lives. Our parents will treat us in a similar manner. What we experience arises from what we have planted. This is what the neutral intent means. Lower level virtuous intention. It refers to performing virtuous deeds to attain happiness in future lives. How many people seek blessings for their future lives? How many individuals do good deeds with this goal? Christianity speaks of the afterlife, aspiring to go to heaven after death. This is the lowest level motivation. If you don't even have this aspiration, your intent is not wholesome. Instead, it is unwholesome or neutral, only pursuing benefits for this life. When parents raise their children, do they seek benefits for the next life? Most subconsciously think, when I die, it would be good if someone collects my corpse. They hope for a proper funeral, a well-built grave, and someone to bring them food on the tomb sweeping day. Many worldly traditions are ignorant of reincarnation and believe that, after death, one becomes a ghost. That is why people visit their ancestors' tombs during the Yiming festival. Worldly people don't even have this lower-level virtuous intent. They don't understand what it means to pursue blessings for the next life. If the purpose is to avoid falling into the lower realms in the next life, and to attain rebirth in the human or heavenly realms, then no matter what kind of virtuous deeds you perform or how many good deeds you have done, you are merely practicing lower-level virtue. There is no other goal. During the Buddha state, ordinary beings inevitably rush to seek rebirth in the human or heavenly realms. But if one pursues nothing beyond these mundane rewards while alive, the motivation is too narrow. That would be short-sighted. A wise person has a broad vision, while those who lack wisdom only see the present. Those with some wisdom can foresee the coming year or even 10 or 20 years ahead. Some people don't work for the present, but for decades later. They have a broader vision. When working, we often see no further than the present, like monkeys. Some individuals can see the next life. Of course, this requires the guidance of a good spiritual teacher. By recognizing the existence of future lives, we can incorporate this insight into our daily work. Suppose you perform virtuous deeds solely to be reborn in a higher realm, and as a result, you are reborn as a human 100 times. If you use that human life to engage in virtuous activities, that is fine. But if you only engage in unwholesome activities, for example, working as a butcher, killing hundreds of lives every day, or neglecting virtues, lacking compassion, harming sentient beings, and pursuing self-interest at the expense of others, then obtaining such an untamed human life is meaningless. Although you may have created some positive karma in your past life, there is no guarantee that you will do so in your next life. At that time, ignorant of the law of karma, you might blindly follow others in committing negative karma. You may not even realize that you are engaging in evil activities, believing instead that what you do is righteous. Reflecting in this way, what is the point of obtaining that kind of human life 100 times? It would be better to be reborn 100 times as grass-eating animals, like oxen or horses, because apart from accidentally consuming small insects in the grass, they don't kill. In this sense, being a human can be worse than being an ox or a horse. Throughout 100 lifetimes as a human, one may commit severe negative karma, exhaust all accumulated merit, and eventually face immense karmic retribution. Why should we rejoice for oxen and horses? Because they commit little negative karma. Moreover, they are eliminating past karma and repaying karmic debts. Humans, however, create negative karma. After 100 lifetimes as oxen or horses, they might be reborn as a human, still honest and kind. Perhaps they run a small business, encounter a good spiritual teacher, learn the dharma, and gradually progress towards Buddhahood. Conversely, you might fall into the hungry ghost or hell realms. Though you are a human now, after 100 lifetimes, when your merits are exhausted, your fate becomes uncertain. You may fall into hell, while they may practice the dharma and go to the Pure Land. Some fortunate oxen or horses are directly liberated by great masters. Of course, this is due to merits accumulated in past lives. Conversely, some humans fall into misery. For example, someone might become a monastic in this life, but fall into hell after death. Karma is complicated. Some oxen are reborn in the Pure Land, while some monastics fall into hell. These are true stories, not something made up to frighten you. We must examine our motivations carefully. The law of karma is very subtle and never goes wrong. If one diligently engages in virtuous activities in this life, one can obtain a precious human rebirth. However, without practicing the supreme dharma, even being reborn as a human is pointless, let alone being reborn in heaven. Celestial beings have long lifespans, but they merely indulge in sensory pleasures and live in comfort. Throughout their long life, they indulge in sensory pleasures. Yet, at the moment of death, they have to face the agony of falling. Seeking blessings for future lives shows a slightly broader vision. However, it is still not ultimate and cannot fundamentally solve our problems. Even if one enjoys wealth and prosperity in the next life, it is meaningless, and one may face even more miserable consequences. Of course, some who seek blessings for future lives carry this habitual tendency from one life to the next. In this life, they perform virtuous deeds for benefits in future lives. In their next life, they continue the same intent and practice. This momentum secures their human rebirth, giving them a much greater chance of encountering the Dharma. From this perspective, their motivation is a lower-level virtuous intent, because it allows them to connect with the Dharma. If there is no chance of encountering the Dharma, what difference is there between being a human and being an ox or horse? None. Such motivation is called a lower-level virtuous intention, because it offers the opportunity to attain liberation. With lesser motivations, liberation becomes even more distant. Without this lower-level virtuous intent, one won't encounter the path to liberation. If you don't even seek blessings for the next life, how could you ever strive for liberation from samsara? Therefore, those with a broader vision have different pursuits. What do those on the path to liberation seek? They strive to transcend the cycle of reincarnation. This motivation is far more advanced than the lower level one. It is the middle level virtuous intention. Those with middle level virtuous intent think, from a long-term perspective, even if I attain wealth and prosperity for 100 lifetimes, I am still bound by the suffering of birth, aging, illness, and death. Eventually, I will fall into misery. There is no guarantee that I'll pursue future blessings and practice virtue in every life. In samsara, nothing is inherently blissful. Nothing is blissful by nature. Therefore, I must free myself from the cycle of reincarnation and transcend all sufferings, such as birth and death. This intent is called the middle-level virtuous intention. Recognizing samsara as suffering is not easy. It requires extraordinary insight. Those who realize this are exceptional. At the very least, we should have a long-term vision and consider future lifetimes, thinking this is not the solution, I must find a way out. Seeking blessings for future lives is not the fundamental solution. Therefore, we must pursue liberation. The middle-level virtuous intention can lead to the attainment of arhatship. Some may think it is rare and precious to aspire for liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Indeed, it is rare and precious. Compared to all the virtuous intentions mentioned earlier, this one is extraordinary. In today's world, fewer than 1 in 100,000 people have renunciation. Among so many people, few have renunciation. Even among monastics, not many have genuine renunciation. Many are busy with their monastic household affairs. They seek something to rely on, so they find a temple, enshrine the statues of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and build halls like the Shakyamuni Hall, Siddhigarbha Hall, and Guanyin Hall, looking for a sense of security. Wherever they go, they need something to depend on. After building temples, they settle down comfortably. Surrounded by Buddha statues, they feel secure. But is this truly secure? Can one make spiritual progress in this way? Moreover, to obtain offerings, they engage in morning and evening chanting sessions. These services become their meal ticket. They think, the patriarchs said that by attending daily services we have sustenance. Hence, many individuals attend the chanting sessions merely to make a living. Do you think they are truly practicing? Such cases are numerous. Lacking inner peace, they seek material support. But since they cannot ask openly, they have to pretend. Those with meager merit worry, if we don't provide Buddhist services, how can we survive? In our Dharma center, however, there are no morning and evening chanting sessions. Yet, we don't lack sustenance. In this age, those who genuinely seek liberation are remarkable. For example, during a famine, when the entire family is starving, the head of the household is invited to a feast where he can eat and drink as much as he wants. However, he only focuses on filling his own stomach, forgetting that his parents, wife, and children are suffering from hunger. He doesn't even think about bringing a bowl of food for them. Such people should be rare. Probably he wants to bring food back, but the host doesn't allow it. We can't say that such people don't exist at all. They worry that others might say, "You can take food home, but if you do, you can't eat so much here." So they focus on filling their own stomach first. After enjoying a big meal, they might ask, "Can I take some food home?" This is because of greed. Before relieving their hunger, they dare not ask, fearing that they won't be allowed to eat that much. Such behavior is neither forgivable to the family nor acceptable to society. His parents, wife, and children are suffering from hunger symbolizes that beings in the three lower realms are experiencing immense suffering without the slightest happiness. Arriving at a place where he can eat and drink freely symbolizes obtaining a precious human life, which can accomplish both temporary and ultimate benefit for others. During the feast, he forgets his family and only fills his own stomach, symbolizes the Hinayana motivation, seeking personal liberation from samsara without considering saving others. Seeking only one's own liberation while neglecting sentient beings, though rare, is not noble. This mindset is already rare and precious. Believing in liberation indicates one has the roots of virtue and connection with the Buddha. Otherwise, how could one believe in liberation and have such a broad vision? Truly believing in and pursuing liberation is rare. If one genuinely believes in liberation, one will naturally pursue it. Without that belief, one won't seek liberation. After arousing this belief, most beginners focus on their own liberation with little altruistic intent, like the man who only thinks about filling his own stomach. Such intention is not vast, so it is called middle-level virtuous intent.